Performing transaction has never been easier since the emergence of digital payments. It's right from the tip of our fingers. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me Richard with my colleagues today, Ramona, Fern, and also Vicky, to walk you through our solution for WeChat in order to empower small medium enterprises. Today, you have asked us the question of how can WeChat develop their service in addressing the needs of SMEs in the next 5 years. And in order to answer that, we have identified 3 problem questions, which are how to develop a reliable payment method and confirmation, how to assist SMEs with limited resources and knowledge to manage their business, and also how to support technology adoption and education. As an executive summary, we have identified 3 key issues, which are unreliable payment method, underserved business management needs, and also lack of usability assistance for SMEs. And these key issues representing where you are right now. And we are offering or recommending 3 strategies: adjust, accommodate, and also assist that will help you in order to offer convenient and also merchant-friendly payment methods, improvement on business planning tools, and also simplified business account setup and learning opportunities. Now let's take a look at the situation analysis. Let's get to know your company first. So your company, WeChat, is based in China, serving the Chinese market. And currently, you're trying to serve more the SMEs group. And you're trying to change the payment service provider that you're trying to offer into an operation service provider. And we also need to acknowledge that your company is backed by Tencent, representing or implying big company with relatively high capabilities. And your service has been working around social content, games, video, and also services. And last but not least, the thing that we are trying to work on today is the shopping and payment. As a platform that serves your customers with payment processing applications, let's take a look at the payment process journey. So the current journey involves customer as the main actor. So for example, if the customer wants to buy something from the SME, they need to choose what to buy and then scan the merchant's QR code and enter the amount and pay by themselves. So they do almost all the things. And this customer journey has certain drawbacks, such as mistype and also skip payments, because the customer may have limited knowledge or maybe just forgot, or maybe intentionally or unintentionally mistype the amounts. And the second drawback is the payment confirmation. It is hard to make sure whether the payment is well received or not, and it is hard to handle in high traffic, and it relies too much on the business owner, especially on one specific phone. Therefore, we have identified the first key issue, which is the unreliable payment method. Now let's talk about the group that we are trying to assist, the SMEs. So which SMEs are we trying to focus on? So we are trying to focus on the developing smaller SMEs, and some of them are mom and pop businesses. So they have limited resources and knowledge. However, they need the business metrics for future growth strategy, and they are tech conscious. Your company, WeChat, however, have not maximized this opportunity. Therefore, we are trying to recommend a strategy that will help you in order to maximize this opportunity and identify the second key issue, which is the underserved business management needs. So now let's talk about the silent merchants. So who are they? So the silent merchants are the people that have successfully applied and also registered to your platform. However, they have not been using your services. And regarding this, your team has identified some of the problems, such as the lack of IT knowledge, and some of them have no experience in setting up the account. So it may be considered tedious or complicated for them. However, we need to also acknowledge that there are certain steps that we cannot simplify because of the government that has certain regulations in order for the steps for the business account registration. Therefore, the third key issue we identified is the lack of usability assistance for SMEs. To sum up, in order to answer the case question, we have identified 3 key issues, which are unreliable payment method, underserved business management needs, and also lack of usability assistance for SMEs. And to solve these key issues, we are offering 3 strategies that will be further elaborated by my colleague Ramon.
Thank you, Richard. So here comes our first question: how to develop a reliable payment confirmation method. And we will introduce you our first strategy, adjust, which will lead you to convenient and merchant-friendly payment method, which combines the shifted autonomy to SMEs and flexible payment checking process. So now let's take a look at the problem overview with the current practices. First, they have the autonomy to enter the payment amount when they're trying to do the purchase from SME. However, it will sometimes lead to mistype and skip payment, and which would be a loss to SMEs. And second, only the business owner can handle the payment on one specific phone, which means other related employees or the shopkeepers could not have access to monitor and secure the payment transaction process. And these would somehow lead to the idle staff capacity and inflexible operation issue. So moving on to the next slide, in order to change the current condition for SME and help them to build a better future position, we aim to reach the autonomy shift back to SME and reach flexible payment tracking process. And this will be further explained in our strategy 1, where SME owners will be the ones to enter the payment amount, and there will be additional staff access to the transaction process. So now, let's first take a look at our first part of the strategy, flexible payment receiving process. So under WeChat Pay, the business account, we recommend there should be full access and limited access for both the business owner as well as the related employees, or as the shopkeepers. The reason why we are separating this is that we want to help the SMEs to protect the money they receive and to separate their position roles inside their own company. So how does it exactly work? The main account holder, which would be the business owner, can add other WeChat accounts, which would be accounts for other shopkeepers or related employees, to let them do the monitor process. So other people have to grant access to business account view transaction page, which means they cannot withdraw the money or use the business money for any personal purpose. And what they have to do here is to monitor and make sure that all the transaction and payment goes smoothly. So the view transaction process will be shown on the same interface under different types of access. And we believe by doing this, it could successfully help to tackle the idle staff capacity issue and help to improve the flexibility of the operation. Then moving on to the next slide, let's take a look at the second part of the strategy, building up autonomy in designating the payment. And this specifically is to tackle the mistype and skip payment issue. So how does it work? Under WeChat Pay business account and on the SME owner's homepage, it will automatically generate the daily billing order. So the SME owners will simply need to enter the total amount of each bill after the billing number and tell the customer the billing number. And what the customer have to do is simply scan the QR codes provided by SME and enter the billing number instead of entering the payment amount by themselves as they used to do in before. And after this, in the customer side, how many amount of money they need to pay will automatically pop up, and they have to settle the payment, and then everything would be done. And we believe by doing this, we can see improvement in process. So before the change, SME is facing the risk of receiving less money, and they will be spending more effort and time after the transaction have ended. However, it is a little bit hard for them to compensate for the loss because the transaction have been ended. And after the change, SME would have the accurate money received and spend less effort in double checking the bill because all the checking process have been moved before the transaction have taken place. And we believe by implementing our strategy 1, there will be benefit for both SME and WeChat Pay. For SMEs, they would have the accurate money transferred and enjoy flexible payment management process. And for WeChat Pay, under the guidance of ESG, it could better protect SMEs' right and improve the current SME product offering. So now, moving on to the next slide, here comes our second case question: how to assist SMEs with limited resources and knowledge to manage their business. And we will introduce you of a second strategy, accommodate, an improvement on business planning tools by offering data analytics services for SMEs. So now let's take a look at the problem overview here. For many SMEs, they are facing the similar situation, which are lack of business planning and analysis process, lack of integrated system to interpret their specific business matrix, and overall, they don't have any IT-related resources or knowledge. So we believe we should somehow leverage the existing resources to help them get out of the dilemma. So the key insight here is we should leverage Tencent's technology resources to build an intelligent supporting system for SMEs. Then moving on to the next slide, let's take a look at the chosen technology, business intelligence, the BI. There are overall 5 steps involved. So the first step, SME's daily transaction happening under WeChat Pay would be integrated into WeChat Pay's data warehouse. And the data sets would be organized into analytic data model. And these would be further generated into analytical queries with the help of BI. And then those would be transformed into data visualization and dashboard and reports, which could be downloaded by the SME owners. And after this, the SME owners could get further business insight and make better business planning decisions based on the assistance. And now I'll pass time to my colleague Vicky to talk about the details.
Thank you, Ramona. Coming to our second strategies, offering data analytics services for the SMEs. Our academy will be focusing on SDG 8 and 11, the decent work and economic growth, and the sustainable cities and communities. The goal of this strategy is to provide technical support to the SMEs with limited resources. So referencing from the Google Analytics on the website traffic, from the behavioral data, analysis of the average payment amount, revenue by time and transaction will be recorded. And the future marketing positioning will be relying on finding the peak time and period with the consumption pattern. While for the transaction data, revenue differences and purchasing record of the customers are being analyzed, the demand forecast and the customer retention will be predicted based on the data. The SME can then leverage on the WeChat Pay data analytics to allocate the resources effectively to different periods for promotions. As we have mentioned before, the merchant lack business planning skills, which hinder the development of growth. By introducing the data analytics services, the SME could receive the business support and knowledges at a lower cost for the forecast predictions. While for the service provider, the WeChat Pay, it could achieve possible social impacts by offering help to the SMEs in terms of technological and future growth insights. Moving on to the third questions on how to support technology adoptions and educations. Our strategy assist could provide a setup guide and encourage the exchange of ideas to simplify our business setup process and to increase the learning opportunities. So why there's a need of doing so? Moving on to the next slide, focusing on the characteristic of the merchants. They lack confidence in the IT knowledges and are not willing to use the WeChat Pay because of the complicated setup procedures. Yet, they do expect to achieve a long-term sustainable growth by leveraging on the IT advancement, receiving guidance from different experts, and use the convenient platform. So we may conclude that these SME merchants would go for an easy business operation process, especially under the IT-driven model, and build connections with different parties. Then, how should WeChat Pay cater their needs? In the previous slide, the time-consuming process and the lack of connections are the two conditions observed in the current development of the SMEs. Yet, the future positioning of these SME will be having a step-by-step account setup instructions and strengthening the bonding between different business parties. Our strategy assists could achieve the future positioning by providing the e-checklist and initiating the SME community. And now, let's take a look at the e-checklist first. Fulfilling the SDG 8, the decent work and economic growth, the goal of the checklist will be simplifying the setup procedures with the step-by-step guide to incentive the SME to use WeChat Pay, thus increasing their customer reach rate by allowing a more efficient e-payment method, the WeChat Pay. So how does it actually work? The first step will be open the account and input the business account data. The second step will be completing the government requirement, the KYC test. The third step will be finalizing the account details. These advanced setup of the payment, messaging, or other add-on services are not necessary, where the SME can set up the system according to their own needs. So to our next part of the strategy, the SME community. Fulfilling SDG 4, 8, and 11, equality education, decent work and economic growth, and sustainable cities and communities. The goal of the community will be building a closer connections between different business owners to enhance the business competitiveness and to achieve a long-term sustainability. So lacking the experience and platforms are the two reasons behind the daily operations of the SMEs. And we will be focusing on the Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities merchants. The SME will be the learner and the tutor of each other to achieve a mutual improvement in the future. The strategy will be based on the case study of Baby Kingdom and Hong Kong. First, SME can post their questions on the platform, and others can comment, like, share, or save the post. Second, the past beneficiaries of the platform can share their experiences through the video or through words. Then maybe we'd like to ask, what are the benefits of having such a community? The new SME will learn from the past beneficiaries, then become a successful SMEs and contribute back to other new SME and form a circular economy. For the new SME, they will provide ideas and innovative way of operations to the current SME and receive knowledges on improving their own business. While for the successful one, they will provide ideas, past experiences, and knowledges to the new SME and receive some new inspiration from them. At the same time, the business could leverage on the platform and explore more cooperations or collaborations opportunities within different industries to facilitate the economic growth and sustain in the long term on this platform as well. Our ultimate goal of this strategy is to create a mutual benefit by forming a circular economy to achieve the sustainable growth for SME and also for WeChat Pay. For SME, they could exchange their ideas, learn from each other, and enjoy the WeChat Pay services with the simplified set of procedures. While for WeChat Pay, your company could create and increase the stickiness of the merchant, create more positive social impacts by improving the support of SME and facilitating their communications by the community. Then I will pass the time to Fern to talk about the implementation.
Thank you so much, Vicky. So let's talk about the implementation timeline. For the timeline, we project the plan to be 5 years, and we suggest you to spend the first quarter planning and spending around 1 year after that to start developing your product, including the new payment features and the sharing business account, business analysis tool, and the sharing community. We would also suggest you to perform the legal actions if needed, and this can include licensing, patent, and the regulator approval. And after the system is developed, you can also launch a beta testing to ensure that the product is functioning well, and you can expect to fully launch the new service by the second half of the second year. However, the promotion scheme is still crucial to let the public know about your products. Therefore, we will suggest you to do a mass media promotion, including TV advertisement and the billboard advertisement. And also, the system maintenance is also suggested to perform regularly. So moving on to the financial impact. This project involved around 50 million Chinese yuan cost over 5 years. And there are three main cost drivers. The first one is the development cost, which including the technical support cost and the salary cost. And this will account for around 23.8 million Chinese yuan. And also for the marketing cost, which include the marketing agency, TV advertisement cost, and the billboard advertisement cost. This cost will be around 18.21 million Chinese yuan. And the last one is the maintenance cost, which costs around 8 million yuan. And for the revenue, there are key assumptions that we need to consider. The number of SME, we assume that it will grow by 20% per year from the base year of 2021. And we expect that WeChat Pay can capture around 20% of the small to middle SMEs by year 5. And the SME value process grow by 10% per year. And WeChat Pay will take around 0.45% commission fee and 30% profit margin. Moving on to the next slide. After consider the cost structure and the revenue assumption, you can see the revenue as shown. And after consider the profit margin and the total additional cost from this project, you can expect to see the positive profit from the second year. Moving on to the next slide. Other than the benefit that we discussed about, there are some other KPI that you can expect. You can expect to capture more than 15 million SMEs by year 5. And this amount represents the transaction value of 18 trillion Chinese yuan. And in terms of the finance, you can expect to see the total revenue over 5 years to be around 176 billion Chinese yuan, with the total additional cost of around 50 million Chinese yuan. And after consider 30% profit margin, you can also see the total profit margin to be around 52.6 million Chinese yuan. And when after consider 9% weighted average cost of capital, you can expect to see the net present value of this project to be around 36.6 billion Chinese yuan. So moving on to the risk and the mitigation, the first risk that we need to consider is the regulatory risk. This risk has a very high likelihood and high impact if this occurs, because in China, the regulation change frequently, especially in the financial sector. Therefore, we would suggest you to mitigate this by conducting a compliance audit and keep up with the current regulation in order to know what is going on in the market. And the second risk is about the malfunction of the payment system. This risk has a low likelihood but high impact. Therefore, we would suggest you to mitigate this by regularly maintain the system and open for the user feedback. And next, I'll pass my time back to Richard to wrap up this presentation.
Thank you, Fern. So that's how, ladies and gentlemen, our strategies adjust, accommodate, and also assist will help you in order to offer convenient and also merchant-friendly payment methods, improvement on business planning tools, and also simplified business account setup and learning opportunities. Thank you for listening. We are now welcome for your questions.
Thank you for your presentation. It is now time for the Q&A session. Please keep the questions concise and leave your thoughts and comments for the feedback session. The 15 minutes countdown starts now. Let's hear the first question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, thank you for the presentation. It's really nice to see so much of details you've talked about, and particularly you also mentioned about the analytics, and I think particularly to support the improvement on business planning tools. So I want to understand where you've mentioned about the implementation time, and I think you're talking about the build time is around an year, right? The mid of year 2 you would complete. So are you considering when you say that the develop business analysis that involves the systems and to support the overall MI and other reporting, that what you wanted to do, that you said you would leverage the resource from the Tencent, right? Are you? Yeah. So I just want to check, is that all can be done in a year's time, where you are able to secure the data, build the systems, and then get to the MI and then present to the SMEs?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for your question. Let me make sure that I understand the question correctly. So the question that you asked is about are we sure that we can finish develop the business analysis within a year, right?
That's right.
Okay. So basically, we are quite sure that we can develop these 3 products within a year. The plan that we suggest to WeChat Pay to do is, in order to save time, we will suggest them to divide the team into different teams to develop different projects. Therefore, we can work. WeChat Pay can work on different projects at the same time and ensure that they can work efficiently and effectively to save time, because time is valuable. Therefore, we will suggest them to do so, and we are sure that they can perform and develop the system within a year.
If I may add some more information to what my colleagues has conveyed. So as we have mentioned before, we are trying to leverage the technology already well established by Tencent, but we still need to adapt it into the SME situation, right? So we believe that with the support from the Tencent, it is possible to do it within the 1 and a quarter according to this implementation timeline. 1 and a quarter years, and we believe we also already have the customer base for SMEs, right? So it's possible to have some data or dummy data and cooperate with some SMEs in order to develop this business analysis tools that will be really helpful for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just a follow-up to that. You also talked about the regulatory risk, right? Can you elaborate what sort of risk that you're talking about, considering the tools and the development of the analytics as well? We want to hear on the regulatory risk side.
Okay. In terms of the regulatory risk, as the example with the N group that has occurred previously. Therefore, according to this, we consider the regulatory risk as the risk that potentially can happen in China. So the example that we can think of about the risk is about the privacy of using the data, as we are performing the business analytics based on the commercial data of each SMEs. Therefore, there is likely that the regulator will step in and monitor these activities. And also, as we are operating in the financial sector, which is the sector that the Chinese government is mainly focused on. So there are some risks related to other activities, for example, like the money laundering or something like that, that may occur, and the regulator will step in order to monitor the activities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Amy here. I got a question related to your costs. I kind of recall, if I'm not wrong, I think you're planning to spend some 18 million grant for some marketing activities. This seems quite high to me. Yeah, so which is kind of like almost same as the development cost. So can you share with us your thoughts in terms of like what's in there and why that cost that big lump sum?
Yes, of course. Can you move to the appendix, please? Okay, thank you. Here is the cost structure that is the cost per year, especially the first year that the second year that we will do a lot of marketing, which because it is the very first stage of launching a new service. Therefore, we will spend the cost more in the second year. So the marketing costs include the marketing agency cost that will cost around 1 million per year per team, and also the video production cost. As we are doing the television advertisement cost, we need to consider the TV production cost, the commercial ad production cost, which we expect to cost around 0.5 million per advertisement, and we're doing around 3 advertisements. And also the TV advertisement cost. If we are airing the TV advertisement in a mass time, the cost will be higher. So we expect the cost to be around 2 million per year. And also, as we are doing the billboard advertisement, the poster design is also considered. And also the billboard rental cost is pretty high in the busy area. Therefore, we expect the billboard rental cost to be around 1 million per year. And however, the marketing cost can be reduced in the later year when the public recognize the product.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add one more question on your cost analysis? That's your financial D4, page D4. So your financial analysis, you mentioned that the profit margin must be 30%, but you mentioned that the marketing cost will be decreased in going forward. But how profit margin will stay the same as 30% always?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question. Actually, we keep the profit margin constant, but the reduction in the marketing cost will reflect in the total cost, which is the second bottom line. So that total cost reflect the decrease in the marketing cost.
If I may add some more information to what my colleague has conveyed. So we are taking this profit margin from the current profit margin approximate of the financial statement of Tencent, fintech, and also financial related services. So we are trying to represent this 30% as the operational margin. Mm-hmm. And the total cost that we are talking about before is the additional cost from accelerating or doing this project. So specifically talking about this project, the marketing cost will be decreased, but we are assuming the same profit margin because of the operational margin we get from the financial statements. Thank you.
Okay, well, understood. Another question is that I am very interested to know the building a circular economy in WeChat community. So the idea looks very unique and creative for SMEs to make them connected, to share their ideas and share experiences. That what's the motivation for the SMEs to set up this kind of community by themselves? So WeChat will provide a specific benefit for that.
As we have mentioned before, these kind of SMEs share the similar characteristic as that they do receive a lot of fundings or supports from the government side. And there are a lot of big companies are trying to provide more subsidies or more experiences sharing to them so as to build their own business model. So as an SME, they do have a lot of money support from the government side or from other big companies, yet they do lack the related experiences or knowledges to establish a very long-term sustainable business model. So the forming of this kind of SME community could allow the exchanging of ideas by having the old SME that have been successful in operations to give their own ideas, to give their own knowledges or past experiences to the new SME that is without any knowledges, but do have the money to expand in the long-term future. So we are aiming to create a circular economy by allowing both the new SME to give some new ideas or innovative way of operations and get some inspiration for the successful SME to improve their current business model. And at the same time, for the successful SME that do have a scaled of operation business in a more mature way than the new one could pass their own past experiences or the mistake that they have making during their process of development to the new SME and allow them to grow together. So the final goal of that is to contribute to the economic growth in the long term, where more SME could sustain in the long term.
And I want to add on a little bit. So in terms of building the circular economy, WeChat's role in this case is to helping them to set up and to build a platform. So SMEs are not the only one to trying to initiate and set up the platform. So they will enter the platform with the help of WeChat and go in the platform to share their ideas and to boost their economic growth, just like what my colleague Vicky has just mentioned. So it will be a mutual benefit for both WeChat as well as SMEs.
Thank you.
I got a question which could be a little bit detailed. Can you go back to the slide related to, sorry, my battery is running down, but let me just complete the question. So like, you have the slide talking about the merchant needs to input the bill number after like they scan the QR and all that. Why they need to input the bill number, or the customer needs to input the bill number?
So let me take this question. So initially, before this change, customer are the ones to input the payment amount, and there will be like this type of skip payment issue happening, which would be a loss to SMEs. So in this case, we want to implement this change. And in order to match the amount, like from the SME side to the customer side, we want to change the thing from SME to be the one to entering the bill and customer be the one to pay, make the direct payment. So in this case, we are adopting from the SME side, there would be a billing number, and the billing number would be automatically generated on the WeChat Pay official account. So what the customer have to do is simply to get the billing number from the SME owners, and then what they have to do is to enter the billing number on their phone after scanning the QR code instead of entering the payment amount. Like if they are the one to enter the payment amount, it might be like changing the number from 25 yuan to 2.5 yuan, which would be a loss to SME. So we believe in doing this, it could successfully help to prevent such scenario from happening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Vivian, I need to go and grab my charger. So I will excuse myself for 1 minute.
Sure. So do we have any questions from the other judges? We still have 2 minutes left. No?
Hi. A quick question on the SME community. I think the idea that you shared earlier, right? Just want to understand in this, in the strategy and the way you're looking at the solution, have you thought about the competition, or how does it work? You mentioned about the SME community sharing ideas. All that is okay. Have you thought about?
Actually, this is new inventions that have been established in similar industry. And our largest competitors of WeChat Pay will be Alipay. And this is something that is our unique services. So talking about the competitiveness, as WeChat Pay would like to establish the SME community by focusing and creating more social impacts to the societies. And as the SMEs, they are willing to share their different past experiences and share their own knowledges to make the mutual improvement. And we have mentioned before, this SME community is not only acting as the exchanging of ideas, but at the same time allowing more opportunities for collaborations or cooperations. So even the SME, the mature SME or the new SME could find their potential business partners in this kind of community and improve together. So it won't actually lead to a large competitive problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 20 seconds. Any more questions? No? Okay, so thank you all. The judges will now stay in the room to deliberate, and teams, we will place you in the waiting room and bring you back for the feedback session in a few minutes' time. Everyone else, please kindly leave the room and we will see you later for the results announcement. Thank you.